Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Today, we are going to study the topic of validation and verification. Okay, now children, what comes to your mind when you hear the term validation? Have you ever heard this term validity, validation, and similarly something regarding verification? Whatever is coming to you, and please pour in your ideas, pour in your answers. Okay, that's great. Validity of your passport. And where do you hear the term verification? Verification of the education documents. Similarly, verifying your answers. Like whenever you are solving the simultaneous equations, we always have to, we can verify the answer that whether our values for x and y are correct or not. Okay, now let's see what do we mean by these terms in computer science. Now, the very first thing that you need to know is, why is validation and verification needed? So that the computer is only going to accept the valid data. The computer is going to accept the data that is normal. And if you remember, we have talked about this types of test data earlier. So just to ensure that whatever data is being entered is meeting the criteria, is up to the mark, what we need is, we need to perform some validation checks and we need to have some verification done on the data as well. Now the terms are defined here. For data entry, validation is performed automatically by the computer. Now, definitely, when we talk about the term automatic, something will definitely be there, because in reality, nothing is going to be automatic. What we need is, we need to have some proper programs being developed, and those programs are going to make this thing possible. So you can see here what validation is. It is a process in which we are going to perform some checks automatically by the computer system, just to ensure that whatever data is being entered is the right one and it should be accepted by the program. What is verification? Verification is used to check that the data does not change as it is being entered. Whatever was on the original document, it should be present on the other document as well, on the computer as well. Now, these were the terms that we talked about. Now let's move on to the validation checks that you need to know. Again, the definition is once again the same. Validation is the automated checking by a program. The data is reasonable before it is accepted into a computer system. Automated checking, automatically done by the computer program. There are different validation checks that we need to know. Just the list is coming here. We need to be aware of the term range check. What it is, we will be learning very soon. Then we have the limit check. Then we have the length check. Then the next one is the type check. Then we have the character check, the format check, the presence check, and we have the check digit. So these are the names that you need to know, the names of the validation checks and where they are being used. You should know that as well. So now, any questions regarding the term validation itself and the validation checks we are going to study right now? Okay. The very first validation check is range. A range check checks that only numbers within a specified range are accepted. For example, percentage marks are going to be between 0 and 100 inclusive. I can see one thing that you need to know is range check firstly is applied on numbers. By the way, I hope that we remember the data type for numbers is either integer or real. So now the very first thing that we need to know is that it's applied only on numbers, and it is going to deal with two values, which are going to be the minimum and the maximum. I hope that we are clear. We can talk about a number of examples, like with paper. So paper is going to be of 50 marks. So the range check will be ensuring that the value entered is within the specified range, like it will be 1 till 50. So the same thing is applicable here. Range check, first thing is dealing with numbers, and secondly is dealing with two values, which are the minimum and the maximum. Why am I emphasizing on this one? You can understand that you should be very clear about the limit check, because it is checking only one of the limits. On the contrary, if we say range check, it's going to deal with the minimum and the maximum. A range is given and we have to see that whether the number that is being entered is within the range or outside the range. Or on the contrary, a limit check is only checking one of the limits, like it can either be checking the upper limit or the lower limit. Not both the limits are checked at the same time. For example, typing in age as -25, where the data entered should not be negative. Like again, age one in negative is doesn't make any sense. So whenever we talk about that, I'm applying only one validation, that I'm only talking about that age entered should not be a negative value, then this will be given the name limit check and not range check. I hope that I'm clear. Limit check deals with one of the values, while range check deals with minimum and the maximum. Now length check. Length check checks either. Now there are two situations. The first thing is the data contains exact number of characters. For example, if I say a password should be exactly 8 characters in length. So if I am actually entering passwords which are less than 8, so my program should respond, should be giving me this message that the value that you have entered, the number of characters that you have entered for the password is not meeting the criteria. And that is called the length check. You can see the data contains an exact number of characters. Na ek kam na ek zyada. You have to enter as many characters as are needed, as are required, and that forms the first example of your length check. Secondly, the data entered is a reasonable number of characters. For example, if a family name is included, then it should be like I can't enter the family name as one character. There should be a certain limit that should be given, that it is going to be that number of characters that will be acceptable, and that also is falling in the category of length check. So there are two situations. Situation one, exact number of characters. Situation two, that a reasonable number of characters are going to be there, so that it is going to not violate the situation, violate the criteria. Are we clear? And any value which is, like for example, if I talk about the family name or the address or any other data, so it should be, if it says that it should be between 2 and 30 characters, so a value above 30 is will be rejected. That is going to be the length check. We're going to talk about a few other length checks also. Now the next one is type check, and it is going to check that the data that we are entering is of a given data type. Okay, now we keep on coming across different topics which are linked with each other. So if you have if you are not clear about the term data type, which is actually, let me very quickly recap. Data types can be string or integer or real or char or boolean. So if this is if you have not studied it in detail, then I request you that you better watch the video that is dealing with data type to make the concept a little more clearer. I can see it is the type check is meant to check that the data entered is of a given data type. For example, if the number of brothers or sisters is an integer. By the way, can a number of brothers or sisters be a value other than integer? Can it be real, by the way? Can I say I have 2.5 brothers because today I fought with my brother, that's why today he is my half brother? No, we don't say this. We actually talk about the number of brothers or sisters and an integer value. We never talk about this as a real value or a decimal part. That is why the type check will be applicable in this situation, like the number of rooms in your home. That is also going to be type check. Now the number of doors in the car, that is also the type check. So this all is the type check. Are we clear? May I move ahead? Okay. The next one is character check. A character check checks that when a string of characters is entered, it should not contain any invalid characters. Like for example, what is invalid? Can a name contain, by the way, what are the acceptable values for name? Quick. Can I enter a digit in name? Can I enter a special symbol in name? What are the acceptable values for name? Okay, correct. It should contain either a letter, but by the way, only a letter, nothing else. Like, for example, if you talk about your own name, you have your name and your surname. How are they separated? What is in between? Yes, correct. It's a space. It means allowed values in name is letters, capital and small, and we have a space. Anything else? A dot. Yes, correct. So that is the acceptable value. Any other value except for the one that you have mentioned right now should be rejected. And that is what the character check will do. It's going to talk about that if name is being entered, then characters which should not be entered should not be entered. Same case goes, another example is for telephone number. A telephone number should contain digits, and maybe it contain a plus sign, and it may contain you can say a hyphen. So that is also something that we need to take care of, and that is also called character check. Clear? Type check deals with the data type, and character check deals with that if a field is being used, then it should contain the right characters, not the invalid characters. Format check, a very interesting one. A format check checks if the characters entered conform to a predefined pattern. For example, the vehicle number must be in the form XXX-999. Now, the first thing that you need to know, format check means it should be, for example, in some situations we need to we need to follow a certain format. A vehicle number contains a letter in the beginning normally, and that is denoted by X in your pseudocode as well as computer science, and the 9 is any digit. So here we denote a letter by X and any digit by the digit 9. So it means the format check is going to ensure the first three are going to be any letter in the 26 alphabet set, and a hyphen, and then it will be any three digits. So that is going to be the format check. By the way, any other example that strikes your mind? Vehicle number is one example. Okay, that's great. Talking about the date format, the ones that we follow is the British format, and that is we write down DD, then a hyphen, and then we write down which is month, and then we write down year in the end. On the contrary, if you talk about the American format that deals with the date, it is month first, then we have a hyphen, and then it's the date, and then it will be a hyphen, and then it will be the year. So that is also the format check. Fine. Any questions? Okay, now presence check, easiest. Important fields should never be left blank. Like for example, you must have seen that whenever you are entering some details in an online form, there are some fields that should never be left blank. So these fields are actually undergoing the presence check. Important fields should not be left blank. So you can see presence check ensures that some data has been entered and the value has not been left blank. For example, an email address must be given for an online transaction. So just an example is given, another example I've quoted, that whenever you are filling in an online form, you come across certain fields which are marked as, yes, that's great, which are marked with a red asterisk that denote that it's going to be filled. It should not be left blank. It is required. So the required fields are actually undergoing the presence check. Now, the checks that we have studied till now, you need to know their names, you need to know their working, you need to know their definitions. And lastly, there's the check digit. And what is a check digit? We must have seen the check digit on our project course. So it is the final digit included in a code. It is calculated from all the other digits in the code. They are used for barcodes, product codes, international standard book numbers, which is ISBN, and vehicle identification number. These are used to identify errors in data entry caused by mistyping or scanning a barcode, and they are able to detect the following types of errors. What kind of errors are going to be detected by the check digit? If an incorrect digit is being entered, for example, 5327 is entered instead of 5307. So you can see here, the incorrect digit entry has been made, and definitely the check digit will be able to identify this type of error very easily because there's an incorrect digit that is being entered. Transposition error. And transposition error means that if two digits have changed their positions, then that will be called the transposition error. Just an example is given to you, 5037 instead of 5307. So you can see 5 and 7 are in the right positions, but 3 and 0 have been swapped. They have changed their positions, and the check digit will be able to detect this error as well. Omitted, for example, 537 instead of 5307. We have missed a number. So then this kind of error will be detected. And secondly, an extra digit is being added. For example, I entered 53107 instead of 5307. So again, either a digit is omitted or an extra digit is being added. In both the situations, the validation check digit will be able to detect the error. Lastly, phonetic errors, for example, 13 instead of 30. So that kind of error will be detected by the check digit also. So now this is a brief discussion regarding the check digit. And if you really want to know the check digit calculation, the check digit validation using ISBN 13 or Modulo 11 methods, then you can refer to the videos which are already uploaded. So you can understand how these check digits are calculated in the real scenario. Now, an activity is here. Let's see how quickly we are able to attempt this activity. Which validation checks could be used in the following scenarios, in the following situations? You have to mention at least one definitely, but you can mention more than one also if you think that that is feasible. First one is entering a telephone number. Second situation is entering a student's name. The third one is entering a part number in the form XXX999, where X must be a letter and 9 must be a digit. Now, there are three situations, three examples, and you need to very quickly identify a validation check. You may go for more than one check also if you think that that is applicable on any one situation. Okay, I'm giving you maximum 3 minutes to very quickly recap and find out which validation checks can you figure out. Your time starts now. Any problem that you are facing, please do may ask. I hope that we all are done with our work in the process. Okay, now let's see the answers. Are our answers matching with the right answers? Entering a telephone number, definitely type check. It should be integer or it should be string. By the way, what is going to be the right data type for telephone number? A string value? Yes. So since it should be a string value, that's where the type check is can be one situation. The length check, because length check is going to be na ekam na ek zyada. It should be exactly the same number of digits as are needed for the telephone number. And as far as format check is concerned, in some situations, like for example, if I am dialing a number from outside Pakistan, so definitely I need to know the right format is, and I need to dial the country code first, and then the city code, and then the actual telephone number. So that can also be one example that you can say Some students may have written type check and length check. Some student may have written length check only. So then there are three different possibilities that you can make for this entering a telephone number. Entering a student's name. That right now we have talked about the length check, so definitely that will be there, as well as character check, because it should be containing the right type of characters, and the length check also. Then na ek kam na ek zyada. If, for example, a name is composed of 12 letters, it should be exactly 12 letters. Na ek kam na ek zyada. Entering a part number, just now we talked about format check. And since it will be needing 3 letters and 3 digits, so it means length check can also be an appropriate method. Validation check, I hope that it's very much clear. Any ambiguities, any questions? Okay, now one thing that we have talked about is data types. So if there is anyone who has missed out on the data type, please watch that video. Similarly, the ISBN 13 or Modulo 11 method of data of your check digit calculation, as well as validation is also there. So please watch that video. And inshallah, very soon I'll be talking about the different validation checks applied in your pseudocode. So that will be coming next. So keep yourselves tuned for the upcoming videos. Now we are done with validation. Now we are moving on to verification. What is verification and how do we perform this? First thing is, verification is checking the data has been accurately copied onto the computer or transferred from one part of a computer system to another one. This is the definition that you need to know for verification. Verification methods are, the first method is double entry. The second method is screen or visual check. So what you need to know is the definition itself, that what is the proper definition of verification. It's checking whether the data has been entered properly, accurately from onto the computer, or it is transferred from one part of this computer system to another one. Second thing, you need to know the verification methods that include the double entry method and the screen or visual check method. What are they? First one is double entry. As the name implies, double entry means the data is entered twice. And sometimes it is done by different operators. And just to ensure that whether both of the times the data has been entered is correct or not. In case that I entered the first data correctly and the second data was not entered correctly, then it will be popping up a message for me indicating that the two sets are not equal. By the way, if you have recalled, whenever you are giving your file name a password, since, or if you're creating an account and you are entering the password for the first time, then you are asked to re-enter the password. And that re-entry of the password, whether you are creating an account on any medium, like maybe social media or anywhere, or you are giving the password to a file, in both situations, it is going to verify that both of the times you have entered the password properly. There is no mismatch. And in case there's mismatch even of a single character, or maybe the capital or small, it will indicate a message for you so that you can ensure that proper verification is being followed and you are entering the same password twice. Secondly, a screen or visual check. It's a manual check that is being done by the user who is entering the data. How is it being done? Like, for example, I'm done with the data entry. What will I do is I have screen that is displaying my data. Maybe I have typed can say a composition from my piece of paper onto the screen. So what will happen is I will actually see that whether it's the same as is on the main document. So that is called screen or visual check. So what we do is we are going to ensure the data is complete. It is not containing any errors. So what we do is when the data entry is completed, the data is displayed on the screen and you're going to, maybe you are going to do it yourself, or you may ask any of your friends or any other person to read it for you, and then you will verify that both the pieces of data are same or not. Before they are actually being saved, you ensure that from the screen that both the data items are equal or not. Now, what we do is we have a paper document that, the way I said, example is given to you regarding my composition or anything, like maybe it is entry of the marks that I'm doing for my students, or anything that you can think of. So what we do is we always perform the screen or visual check from the original document, the source document, and whatever is on the screen, just to ensure that both the things are correct or not. Any questions, any ambiguities, anything that is unclear? Okay, now that's wonderful. And now one thing that I am repeating, that you need to go through the videos that I talked about, inshallah, very soon. The validation checks regard using the pseudocode methods will be available for you people. And whatever I talked about, ISBN 13, Modulo 11 method, and beside this, the types of test data and the data types. So a lot of videos are already uploaded. Please go through them. Keep on watching the videos. Jazakallah khairan kasira. If you like my videos, please subscribe my channel, share it with your friends and family so that they all are going to benefit from my work. Allah Hafiz.